Perfect. Bo,
What's up?
Forge Lab.
First episode. Yeah.
First episode, round 22.
27.
Good job. But like we said a couple seconds ago, this is what it's about, right?
Yeah.
It's
Trials
not,
and tribulations.
it's not perfect.
No. Nothing is.
It doesn't matter because we showed up. Which
Start
also,
getting that first step in.
yeah. Which also took a minute, right? And so that's the concept here, which is, and I'm just going to throw this out because I know you mentioned on another podcast. I know you do a lot of stuff on social media with your group now, which you can talk about. But you said the other day, which really hit me, and means something to me because I believe it myself, which is you're where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about that. Why?
What's funny?
Why are we here?
You are the person that told me that.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned wanting to do something like I'm doing now. Over a year ago? Like I was like, something's up, man. Like I want to change, and I've always been willing to change, no matter what. Like whether took money out of the question. Like I don't care what the money's going to be. I'll take less money because I feel this is being pulled here. But something was always pulling me different places.
Sure.
And you said, and you told me, I don't know, a couple months ago, it's like, Bo, I think you were always supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel that.
And
like, I'm not perfect at it. Still learning.
Sure. Almost not the point, right? But what you get is energy from people that says, I'm excited about what I'm doing and I want to share it.
Oh, yeah. For
right?
Sure.
So that's probably the biggest thing here, which is not only do I like to, because people like, there's the whole spectrum, which we'll talk about, I think, on this podcast overall over time, right? So let's back up a little bit. The point of this is for us, right?
We just want to get information out there.
I don't know. Yeah.
I said, like me and you, like we've known each other for how long? 35 plus years.
Yeah.
Probably. Yep. But grew up together or in Oak Ridge, just in separate sides of towns.
Yep.
Came together middle school, high school, and have been friends since then, and have known each other for goods and bads and whatnot. And now you live around the corner from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. Throw a baseball and hit your hat or hit your house, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is wild in and of itself. Small town kind of stuff, but big community, right? And we could have gone anywhere, and we have gone a lot.
We have gone many places
and circled back around. But I think it's I think we both have gotten to a place where we are. What I always said was the C word, right? Which is content.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing. I think I thought about it as a bad thing for so long, which was I just grinded.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have done this too, right? Which is like
when you're grinding like that, are you just hunting for something better?
You are constantly.
And you may not find it and when you do, it's like, oh. And when you're grinding, it doesn't even feel that way anymore.
No. So, and you begin, I think, to talk about and search for the things that mattered to you, right? Because you've always been good at. You even talk about your background, critical care nursing, right? But forever, right? Since I've known you, right? And so that was a thing, but it was. But for what?
Yeah, don't know. Like that was the excitement of helping people in their worst. Now we get to help people before they get there.
Yeah. So
or
that's
like avoid it altogether. And in your journey throughout your life, ups and downs, experiences, grinding through things, and then kind of to be somewhat content. And now you just jump back into the real workforce,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
clocking in, but having to be at work at a certain time where
Sure.
that's been not a thing for the past several years, right?
Yeah. And I think we both find ourselves in places where we are good at things, but also um, it's a culmination of all the parts of your life, right? Because what you do now also allows you time, right? Which is a magic factor.
Hmm.
And time allows you to, but it's this environment that creates an enjoyment for health.
Yeah.
And
And health
that
in many ways.
of all the things, right? It's emotional health. And this is for your patients. But what I'll talk about a lot, I think, on this as we move forward is like, how do you take all these things and relate it to you as a human being, right? Your job is a thing. I get it.
Mhm.
Your spouse or partner is a thing. I totally get it. I understand. Your all these things are parts of you, but if you don't understand you it's gonna get off the rails
Yeah.
real, real
And I'm
quick.
still trying to figure it out half the time.
Sure, sure,
Like,
sure, sure.
like you just drove by the house and said, and I told you, I was like, I think I'm just failing at life right now.
Yeah. And what I say, okay, let's try again.
Yeah. Because
Right?
we're not really. I
Right.
mean,
Of
do we
course.
have troubles? Yes. But it's and did we fail every day? Yes. And if you don't ever fail, then you never learn. And
Sure.
that's the biggest thing. And that's the biggest thing I try to teach my kids all the time is like, you have to not be afraid to fail. Because if you don't ever fail, then you haven't tried.
Yeah. Good point. So can we go back a little bit and talk a little bit about for me as a good reminder and for you as a good reminder, where how did you get here? Just from a uh, what's your journey to right now? Just even from a work standpoint, talk about
I
that a
think,
little bit. What's your
I think
background?
from every standpoint, um, God's been working in my way for a long time. And it's just a matter, are you looking for him or you're not looking for him? And I know me and you don't talk about this a lot, but like you remember before me and Constance ever even got together, like what would my life would have looked like?
Yeah, different.
And how did who intervened there? Like that's wild, right?
Agree.
And I just told you we just got what 16 years of blissful compromises just the other day. I mean, and like, how does that happen? Because it works, right? Like she can deal with me, and I'm kind of a nut, so like who deals with all these things, right?
I mean,
um,
the right people. Yeah,
Yeah, and I didn't even know these things at that time. And then, going through life's journey as and professional career, going to the military, being eye opening and learning that, you know, the world's bigger than East Tennessee. Right. I mean, that's probably what you learned
yeah,
too. Like,
sure.
wow, these people are awesome. It's just a different world. It's different people. The world's much bigger than this little small place I grew up in. Even though, guess what? One of the guys I grew up with, lives around the corner with me, and now we're doing a podcast together.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
cool. And I think things work. That it kind of comes back as like, we are where we're supposed to be. Our journey has been purposeful. It's been meaningful, but you have to find the meaning in that, whether it's good or bad. And the bad times that have happened probably aren't as bad as what you think they are.
They aren't
And
now.
they aren't now. Yeah, there you go. They are in the moment. They are
Yeah,
in the moment. And then when you
Always
turn
tough.
that around in the moment and look for reasons or find the reason, you're like, oh, that's not that bad.
So that's a trick, right? Because I think you're incredibly good at this, Bo. And I'll say that as a friend, and I'll say that probably as a practitioner, right? Because you see people like people don't go to the doctor and say, "Hey, man, I'm feeling great. I just wanted to hang out, right? Just wanted to come and see you and see how you're doing, right?" They come and there's something quote unquote wrong,
Yeah.
right? Right, wrong, or indifferent. So how do you? Because I think you're great at this. This is one of your callings for sure, which is how do you hear that both clinically and emotionally and put it into reference.
Well, I think
Think about that.
I think what's hard is because and it's not hard. Let's say this. It's a different way of thinking of what I get to do in my job now is and it's also trying to retrain patients that come in to see us, and whether they feel good or feel bad is not, they want to come in and they just want to know, what is this? A
Yeah,
what? Like they're asking the wrong question. They
sure.
need to know, why is this happening?
Well,
Because if you just get a what, then you get a diagnosis and here's your script, here's your pill for the what, right? And sometimes that's needed because you got to get over the hump to find out the why, so it make you feel better.
right.
But then when you can find out the why, which is not going to be in a 30-45 minute conversation,
Mhm.
it's going to be a prolonged thing, and it's not going to be a magic fix. It's going to be a long process, but if you go through the processes it takes to get there, then that's when you say, man, I feel good.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what was going on with me. That's why I felt that way. I felt that way because not, oh, I'm labeled with this diagnosis and this is why
right,
I feel this way. Because I think people use that as a crutch, like we've talked about. It's like, no, you that's not who you are. That's
right,
what somebody said you may have, but that's not who you are.
right.
And you've got to go out and defeat that.
So we allow a lot of this, I think, in society. I don't want to use it's such an easy thing to say, right? Society today does X, society today says Y, and I think
Mhm.
that's depending on where you are and who you're around and blah blah. But overall, um, things are softer a
Yeah.
bit, right? And so we talk a lot about that, right? And that's hard to be a practitioner. It's hard to be a human being when you don't have that concept of there's somewhere between rub some dirt on it,
Hmm.
right? Which we
And
grew
I
up,
do that way too much, which
which we grew up with, and um, there's nothing you can do about this, right?
yeah.
There's somewhere in the middle of that where I think we're going to try to explore a little bit and talk through and talk to people about and you kind of skew one way or another sometimes, right? And so
Mhm.
there is some rub some dirt on it every once in a while, right? And so you can't,
Sometimes you have to just to get through the process.
yeah, you can't. So I remember saying this a long time ago. I never remember laying in the fetal position and getting up and things ever being different.
No.
The situation wasn't different. The way I felt wasn't necessarily different. My ailment or emotional, physical, whatever wasn't different, right? And so I got to do something, right? And so that I'm a doer, right?
Yeah.
So
It was like, what was it? Just a few weeks ago. Hurt your ribs.
right,
I didn't even know about this till it happened. And you were like, I don't care. I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna do this grounding thing and stare at the sun and hope God heals me.
yeah, yeah. So but it's one
But
of
it's
the.
doing something.
But I think ribs are kind of and ribs are one of those things where you literally can't do anything about it, right? You can't go to the doctor. They can't put a brace on it. You can't there's nothing you do. So I was like, but I'm also like, I'm kind of to the end of my, like, I can't figure this out kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching podcasts, I'm looking online. I asked you, and it's like, I'm going to go stand in the grass barefoot. And you know what? To be honest with you, right, wrong, or indifferent, I felt better. Now,
Yeah.
was that time? Was that my emotional state? Was that, it almost doesn't matter. The
No.
point is having an activity toward me taking an active part in doing something made it better.
Yeah.
Right.
Doing something's better than not doing anything, expecting a different result.
So that's, of course. So that's your whole thing now, right? I mean, that's your livelihood. That's the way the practice works. I mean, I certainly want to give you time to talk about that. This is, um, we could talk about anything,
But
but I think you guys are not traditional. You're not going to walk into there and say, hey, and like you just said a few minutes ago, you're not going to walk out with a script, right? You're going to walk out with a conversation about why and how to move forward, right? Because
Mhm.
that's this is the trick, right? Because
Yeah.
people have got to move forward. Nothing drives me more bananas than people that stay put. I don't even care if you go violently in the quote wrong direction. Not moving
Is
implies you don't wanna.
But it's like I think there was an older lady I had a conversation with. It was a phone call. I've never met her. It was a phone call, and like hormone stuff, whatnot. Well, still didn't feel good. I asked her. I was like, "When's the last time you've been outside?" She couldn't tell me,
Mm.
and I was like, "Well, number one is go sit on your front porch in the sunshine.
Baby steps.
Just a small step." And you like, I say this all the time too. It's like we have these wellness, weight loss, blah blah blah, whatever you want to call it, consults. But my big thing is like you can't like when you go to a regular provider, whatever, you got hypertension or you got pre-diabetes. You have to change your lifestyle. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, eat better and go to the gym. Well, if nobody's ever gone to the gym before in their life, are they going to be productive when they go to the gym? No. And it's going to be super intimidating. Like, ask them, what do they do during the day? Like, what is their typical day like? What's their typical nutrition look like? What do they eat? Um, and then you go from there. It's like, well, okay, so they they don't move around a lot. Well, try to walk for 10 minutes 3 times a day.
Hmm.
Get up off the couch 7 times every few hours.
So how
But,
do you get them to be accountable to that? I think there's this. So here's the real thing that you like. This is what people struggle with too, right? Which is so like that's a beautiful understanding of what you need to do first. Now they leave your office. They're super excited for the drive home,
yeah,
right? And then
and
they
they do it
walk
for 3 days.
into the same environment, right? With the same cookies in the pantry, with the same partner that also doesn't exercise and that makes them feel bad about it. And they don't know where to start. So, like, how this is to me the hardest part from yours. I can't imagine. Can't imagine doing what you do because it's like when they come back in 6 weeks, you haven't really like change the person or change the person, change the environment. Like they come back and you say, well, so how did you do? And it's like, well, I couldn't find time to, or I couldn't do this, or couldn't, like there's a million excuses, right? There's a
Mhm.
million excuses. And this is all along the spectrum, right? So like when people say, hey, I want to go from 25% body fat to 15% body fat, it's really the same thing as this older woman that you're talking about that can't
Yeah.
walk for 10 minutes a day, right? They
Yeah.
can do the things, the extra things that will get them to the place. Why is that? Are they scared? Are they?
Well, I think it's just hard, and people are afraid to do hard things.
Yeah, good point.
And like when you get to those points, like we've all done yo-yo dieting throughout our life, weights going up and down, and haven't been able to stick with a plan because it gets to be too hard, or it's just easier not to. Um, um, I know I've listened to, I'm sure you have too, listen to David Goggins, which some people think he's crazy. He's actually not. It's just how his brain works.
Sure.
Um, and his ability to tap into that unconscious self. And he hates to run, but he does it all the time.
Yeah, love
Like you've seen me out walking in the morning.
it.
Like I don't want to do that, but I do it even though I don't like to, but I know it's better for me later. And that's the hump that people have to get over.
Right. Have
It's
you
like
ever?
what makes me better 10 years from now or 20 years from now, where I wish we knew this stuff 15 years ago.
Yes.
Because how much healthier would you be today if you knew that then?
Have you ever come back from a workout or a walk and said, "Man, I wish I didn't do that"?
No, nobody ever does. Nobody does, unless they got hurt or something like that. Like that's different.
Not a single time, though. Have you ever?
Like you did a workout at Leah's before at Kinetic.
Sure.
I mean, it's hard, and I've told that to everybody. It's like after it's over, none of y'all want to say, "I wish I didn't get up this morning."
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way.
So baby momentum steps, right? And I was thinking about this the other day as we began to sort of formulate this and talk about this. Here's what's really interesting to me: the psychology or sort of emotional piece too. I've never regretted at the end of a workout, but I've regretted at the multiple times at the end of a too big of a meal or too many beers, right? Or a relationship that I didn't do the right things in, right?
Yeah.
And so, but healthy things are there's no regret factor at the end.
That's a good point.
I'm
stealing that.
I'm telling you, it's such an interesting piece. There are so many other things that, like, I've bought cars that I regretted, right? But I've never.
You see what's in my driveway right now.
Yeah, I hear you. I've never done something healthy and regretted it ever. And that's such an interesting. I mean, there's a lot about chemicals. I mean, a million things there, but there's not a single time. There's not a single time, and I am really starting to think about that a lot.
Yeah,
that piece of it.
I mean, I think one of your biggest things you can add is your willingness to jump.
Sure.
You have kind of an uncanny ability to, like, do you put a lot of thought into things? Yeah. But then you've gotten to this point in life to where you're like, I'm gonna try it. Like even the other day doing this thing is like, you need a push.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't wait. Somewhere
along regretting things is what you've gotten to is like,
yeah.
I don't want to regret this a few years down the road for not doing it.
Somewhere along the line, to your point, I do an abusive amount of analysis, right?
And then you can have paralysis by analysis, and that's what I usually end up having.
But I don't do that. I get to a point, and I trust that part of it, right? Which is I've gotten decent enough at this. I've asked enough people. I feel like. And I just have to do it because it's not. And also, there's nothing that's the end of the world, right? I think that's my time in hospice, right? As a hospice administrator, there's nothing that's life or death except for life and death. Nothing. There's nothing that's going to kill me. There's nothing that's that. And I think people just get so caught up in that part of it that it's really, 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 really hard. But again, I think you've not always been like, I think you're a fit guy as a baseline, right? You came out benching 225 out of the womb, probably, but you've gone through phases where you weren't as much, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so tell me about what was the moment that you said, all right, enough is enough? And then that process to really where you are now, certainly.
Well, like I think it. I mean,
because it feels like a no, like you're not going back.
No.
Kind of phase in your life, right? And so some people get to the plate, and you can just feel them like they're a little bit on the yo-yo, right? And you support them, and they're doing what they're going to do, but you're going to do keto for 7 minutes, and you're going to gain it back. And I support you in that, but you aren't ready, right?
No.
It feels like right now you aren't ever going back to some of those middle stages. How?
No, I kind of feel like I'm still making progress.
Sure.
Because just trying to but I'm learning more. And I think the knowledge behind these things, and I've continued to learn. And I've always had, even from little, like high school, I've always liked to learn nutrition. Like I talked about it with Dr. Rogers the other day a little bit, like even though we're doing the wrong thing because we didn't know no better. But now I'm being able to, the things I ask patients to do is stuff I'm already doing.
Right.
And it's possible. Does it get boring sometimes? Sure. But then you learn other ways to eat food, cook food, and add things in. But, just learning more about this and learning more about how it's affecting me and seeing changes and feeling changes is the motivating factor. And do we use medications and things like that too? Sure. But it also helps me and other people dig themselves out of a hole and get a win. And that's a motivating factor. But you have to continue to do the work. Like I talked about the other day, it's like you have to do the work. And like it's killing me with this shoulder injury I've got right now to not, like this last week, I didn't really work that hard and it's been kind of killing me. But go back on like wanting to do hard things a little bit, and when I started with performance, did a whole bunch of blood work and all this stuff. And I talked to you about it too, like having low testosterone, things like that. So us being our age, we're kind of like, I'm at that age, but I don't want to roll the dice yet and be on this train for forever. And I was just like, fine, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it helps with the wanting to do hard things. Because I always when I'm having consults with people, I say, think about that teenage boy that just does really stupid things. That's really hard. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
If people talk about this competitive drive thing, I kind of picture it as like, you want to do the hard thing. And you just want to. And it makes you feel good. And it makes you feel good, especially after it's over. It's like this weekend, I've never been a runner, and had bad knees a little bit, but I wanted to start running. I told Emery I was going to start running with her. So they slept in a little bit. I ran a mile. Then we did a walk, and then she finally wanted to run, so I ran another mile. And I was like, that kind of sucked, but I did it.
Yeah.
Now let's go. Let's do more.
Yeah. And there's such a good point. And I've got a keychain somewhere that I used to carry around all the time that said, everybody wants to eat, but nobody wants to hunt.
That's right? A good point.
And so,
and now we don't have to hunt to eat.
That's right. And so
We have DoorDash.
we have all, but we have all the things, right? Everybody wants to be, and it doesn't even matter. Like the things that I desire, both financially or emotionally or physically, are not something that I will dictate. And I don't think we're going to dictate that here, right? It's not, we're not
No.
going to do a race to 10% body fat,
No.
right? It's not the thing.
Unless we want to.
Unless you want to. Unless you want to. We can.
Like, and I will tell. We'll explain things when I experiment with stuff. We'll talk about them, how it affected me, or what it's doing for me, to me, or what happened.
So we're going to have a lot of really natural, and I think we both want it to be a venue that people can have the questions come up.
Yeah.
In an environment that doesn't require stress.
No.
Right?
And I'm an open book.
I promise you, I will ask some quote unquote stupid questions because I'm going to say, tell me more about that. We talked about this the other day. You are incredibly clinical. You're like, you have all the knowledge, but sometimes you gotta dumb it down.
And that's what I want to do.
And I say dumb it down. You gotta explain it in a way in which it's the why for me, right? I hear what you're saying. I even understand what you're saying. Like, why? Yeah. Why? What gets me to where I'm going? Faster or better, or in a way in which I don't have to do this again. Because that's my biggest thing with practitioners of any kind. I just don't want to see you very much. I like you. I want to hang out with you, but I don't want to talk about things that are wrong with me very often, right? And so I want to go away from you as fast as possible. And I think traditional medicine, hear this right, wrong, or indifferent. The good thing is we don't have, hopefully you won't get fired for any of this, and hopefully I won't either. We're not talking about trucking insurance.
That's our disclaimer.
Yeah, this is the nice part, right? Because I don't want. I think I want you. You are so real in the way that you deal with that piece of it. I know we talked about it a lot there, but there's things about emotional. There's a lot of emotional, instability, whatever you want to call it. I mean, depression. You can tell me. Depression seems like it's on the rise. I don't know if we just hear more about it or people are feeling more about it, but like it's you talk.
I'm about to read this.
Yeah. So this kind of stuff. Right? So like, but like, what does that mean to me? Like as a male, as somebody who grew up in a military environment, somebody has a family. I mean, I have a 21-year-old today. But those things are wild. So we cross all these areas, and I want people to feel like they can be comfortable in that environment too, and as part of the discussion, say, "I don't get it."
Well, and I think we all have depression and anxiety issues, and I think I hate to keep beating the same old drum, but when COVID happened, we all noticed it. Like it sent us into a hole that we didn't really know existed. And then it's like then things really started coming out a little bit, especially in the environment I was in. But everybody felt it, whether it was just what you saw on the news or like being at home or family members acting certain ways or whatever. You felt it. And then it kind of snowballed into with our kids dealing with things that we never had to deal with.
Sure.
Ever. And then and beyond that, like these things we didn't grow up with, and now that our kids are dealing with all kind of stuff, but we are too. And then we have our parents that are you don't talk about that stuff, like especially from a male perspective,
sure.
Right? To where we're a little different. we can speak about some feelings, but we don't. We kind of show them maybe not in the greatest ways. To where now, like half the kids don't even know how they're supposed to feel about stuff. Um, from what we're seeing, like the softer generation and all this kind of stuff. Like I don't know, and I think it's because sometimes they just don't know how to react to things.
Do you see a fair amount of that in your practice, which is, I'm going to put this the right way. That there's a real element of emotional distress
Sometimes,
intertwined with the, you break an arm, it's a broken arm, right? But
yeah.
there's also some things, especially movement toward health, that are intertwined with emotional.
I think it's all connected. I mean, which that's kind of what we base a lot of stuff on, right? It's all connected. I, you know, I do think there's more females that are willing to talk about that for sure still than males, but you would be surprised. There are more and more of our male patients do come in and talk about issues that they're having,
It's a good thing,
about
right?
anxiety, depression, about how they feel, and but it does all wrap back down into kind of similar things. Like you take those baby steps, and you're going to start to feel better.
Yeah. Also, I will tell you what I've learned, and I know you've experienced from me, when you begin to remove the things that are causing stress, you feel better.
Yeah,
And I mean, all the things, right? And so and you have to make hard decisions.
Or what like why is that causing you stress?
How am I responding? Because there's a thing, and we'll read it on another podcast another day, that I want to talk about, and that's the way I wake up every day and what I write, right? And but it's very specific about intentions. And I don't say hope. We're very rarely, or do I say I wish, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't wish for things. I don't hope things will turn out a certain way. I got very clear with my language, which was I am, or this is, right? And so I don't sit in any middle ground of like, I even don't say, and it makes me cringe a little bit. I think I probably swung the pendulum too far, but I don't even say, I hope you have a good day. I say, have a good day.
Yeah, I think that's good. And this is why I wanted to do this with you, because you're way more eloquent and smarter than I am when it comes to thought processes and putting things together like this.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
I'm a dumb meathead, really.
I think it's a beautiful combination of those things. So I appreciate you saying that. But I've also, I've gone through some tough things, and I had to get right, right. But it took me saying I deserve to understand me better, and then that sort of projected out to the rest of my universe.
Yeah.
I mean, all the things: my family, my children, my work, my, you know, any relationships with friends. I don't. I mean, I'm pretty. I think I lived a life on a 10. I don't believe in 11s. I'm talking about that. You can't give 110%. I just don't. It's a whole other episode. But you can. But I think I ran myself in circles toward nothing, right? Because I just didn't. I was sprinting. I was good at that, but toward what? And just never settled and said, "What is it? What's the thing?" Right? What do I want? What do I want out of a relationship with? I mean, it's as simple as saying, "What do I want out of the relationship with Bo? What do I want out of the conversation that we would have on a podcast?" And it took us a while to think about that, right? Because I don't think it's fruitful to go into these things just to say nothing.
And then we decided, like the
We're going to talk about
the whole football thing. Keep it simple, stupid.
yes. And so I think what circles all the way back around is we said, you know what you really got to talk about is just doing it.
Mm-hmm. And like when you were saying you're coming back to like worrying about all the things, chasing all the things, doing all the things, and then it's being very deliberate about how you think. Like that goes back to like people that are just mad at what other people have. Like why? It serves you no purpose. Like be focused on if you want that, say, I'm gonna get that.
There's a path to it, or I have it, right? And so there's, whether you believe in manifestation or not, or all, it can get a little moon worshipy, as I say, but it can get a little hokey. But you can also, I have also seen it in person. There are some things that come to you when you decide.
What was it? I just saw this morning, wasting my life away flipping through my phone. Famous Jameis. Jameis Winston, he was on the pivot.
Yeah.
And they asked him, did you see it? They asked him, they said, when you entered the league, did it humble you? Because he had always been the best player on the field his entire life, up through college, winning a national title and everything. And he said something that was, and he said he was talking to Michael Vick about it, and he asked him, and it was a different answer than what you think. He said, I don't think it humbled me. I just didn't dream big enough.
No, man.
Because he was doing all those funny little things last Super Bowl where he got on the field, like he was great. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And he said, my whole life I dreamed of getting to the league. I was going to make it to the league. I'm going to make it. That saying that you're saying, I'm going to make it. But he never said, I'm going to win a Super Bowl. And that's kind of that whole concept to where, and when he said it to Michael Vick kind of said the same thing. He said, I was just living my life. He said, I just wanted the way out. Right. I just wanted to make it to the league.
Yeah.
He never said, I'm going to win a Super Bowl, because their trajectory could have been totally different, right? It's where if you look at some of the guys that probably have won it recently, like Jalen Hurts growing up in a football family with his dad being his coach, he probably said that at some point in time. Pat Mahomes, with who his dad was, playing in Major League Baseball and all that kind of stuff, he probably told his kid, you need to look big.
Sure.
Not just, I just need to get X. No, I want it all.
And it's relative, right? And so that's why I don't get to decide what's big for you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the beauty of this whole experience that we have, right? This whole, what you say, how we're gonna end or begin all these things, which is you are the experiment.
Yeah.
And but you got to be in control of the elements. And that's, I think, what people
to an extent
end up giving up is, I'm just, I'm just from Oak Ridge. I'm always going to be this thing. I'm all, like my dad was this, or my mom was this, or I had this thing hard, or I have this shitty job, or, whatever the thing is, you just sort of settle into, there's no way for me to, and then I'm telling you, you're toast if you don't change that.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, I'm not going to feel better. I'm not going to not this.
If that's what's good for you, then be happy in that good.
Well said.
I mean, but if you look at everybody around you, you're like, I don't want this.
Yeah.
Do something about it.
So
don't complain about it.
So let's talk about that for a half a second, because I want to.
So, that's what we're gonna do.
That's what we're gonna do. I will tell you, this is rare and it's a beautiful thing, and I also don't live it. And so you can decide to talk however you want to about this. I don't really care, but I'm asked a question anyway. You had a 16-year wedding anniversary, right? Recently, and the first thing you said was, like, it's 16 years of beautiful compromises, and I knew immediately what you meant by that. It hit me really hard because it's so you and Constance. I mean, it's the epitome of that, but also,
And also, I can't tell you what the compromises are. It
yeah,
just
of
is
course
what
you
it is.
can. Of course you can. There's no rule book. There's no whatever. But I also know it's hard to do.
Mhm.
It's a really hard thing for people to do. Even so, what you've done, I'll just pat on the back, right, wrong, or indifferent. Doing that to that in that space is a big deal, right? People just don't have marriages that go 16 years anymore.
And
A, because it's easy to give up. B, because or they'll have 20-year marriages or 30 or 50-year marriages, and they're miserable.
they're
And
miserable. Yes.
there's no compromises, but they're together, right? And that's a total disaster in a totally different way, right? But it appears that you will actually do what you're saying, which is you are happy because you really do live that. I've witnessed it.
Like, does she get mad at me? Sure.
Well, I mean, it's impossible not to, right? Because we are who we are. But it's also, it goes back and forth, right? She's not a
But
saint.
it's nothing to any kind of point that, but like, again,
Do you talk?
you can't do the thing that's going to be really devastating either.
Is it communication? Do you communicate through those times?
I communicate probably too much.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Um,
'Cause I like want to get everything out in the open. That's just who I am.
right,
I don't hold anything in.
right,
It's like the emotions on the sleeve kind of thing. It's all right there, and you know that. I've always been that way.
sure.
I don't really hold much back.
Yeah, and that's great sometimes.
Yeah, and then it gets you in trouble sometimes.
Sure, of course. And so you've also learned, I think, probably to um,
Bite your tongue.
understand when it's too much.
Hmm.
Do you
And
think?
still learning with, especially with my kids. Like they sometimes can't express themselves like I would like them to, and sometimes I just need to be quiet, let them be, and I'm still learning.
Yeah, it's hard to listen.
Hmm. Hmm. And yep,
Hardest thing that people
that's
do.
probably one of my bigger downfalls is like really understanding, listening, and taking it all in before I speak.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that you do it for a living. You do it for a living, right?
Hmm.
So, and I have too, right? I mean, I think in sales, I think in all the jobs that I've had. Do you think that I was thinking about this the other day? Do you operate as well sometimes as a father as you do as a practitioner? In other words, you listen to your patients, right? I mean, you have to. You got to
Hmm.
hear what they're saying. You got to assess.
And they'll surprise you.
Yeah,
Well, I think the difference is you're especially your first kid, as you know, buddy, you're just learning on the fly.
yeah,
There's no rule book. You can read whatever you want to. They're all different, and each one of ours are very different. So you have to even change in between kids because they're different emotionally. At least sometimes with patients, at least you can kind of have an idea of why they're there, and can kind of have a little bit of a plan in the back of your mind.
interesting. Yeah, good point.
And you can kind of go into the room like, okay, or and then you you might be surprised what happens when you walk in the room, what else comes out, and then your plan could change. But you may have somewhat of an idea of of coming in, or you have labs that you've looked at or something like that. So like but that are very objective findings,
Right.
to where, when you're dealing with emotions, it's all subjective.
Mm.
And those are kind of like, then you have to try to figure out, like with patients, is like, well, how is this related to all this stuff? What else is going on that they're not really telling us? um and like I said, a lot of times that's not going to be figured out in the first couple times. People go see therapists for a reason, because they get an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes.
Sure.
And do we spend a lot more time with people than your regular physician? Absolutely. And like my whole visits are basically just a conversation with people, and that's what I like.
And that's a huge benefit,
But
right?
as a father, it's, you don't know what's going to come through the door. You don't know what's happened at school. You don't know what's been talked about over that phone, or what they've looked at, or what so and so said, and you're just like, just tell me something.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I just think it's interesting. The reason I brought it up is because it's not like, tell me where it hurts.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist, right? When
It
it's
hurts here.
yeah, like all the things, right? And that's it's an interesting kind of dilemma there, and moving through all of it. But again, it's the day to day, and also like I think so. Here's the combining of all the things, which is like telling your kids you love them every day, right? It pays dividends over time, right? And may not happen today. They're still gonna roll their eyes. They're still gonna go to bed mad. They're still gonna wake up and not eat breakfast because they're mad at you still. But you say, "I love you. I hope you have, you're gonna have a great day today." And like it's the same thing with exercising. It's the same thing with treating your body well. It's the same thing in relationships. Like it's the consistent, like, this is the way I'm gonna do this over time, and it all comes back to a healthy thing, right? Because they know that, and your body knows it.
You're gonna love this. So tonight at dinner, I asked them, like, what are they dreading for this next week? And most of them said, getting up early. And I said, how do we change that?
Yeah.
Like, how do you change dread getting up early? Like, how do you flip that and say, how do you flip that and say, I'm excited to get up?
Mm-hmm.
And change that mindset, because it's going to change your day. It's going to change your week.
I love it.
I mean, as a kid, I'm just again, the experiment, right?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
We're just throwing stuff in there.
But also, what's interesting is them thinking about it. And it just even just planting the seed of, like, it doesn't have to be miserable.
No.
Right? It can be. So, like, what are you thankful for? Like, nothing changes your body chemistry more than the thought process of being thankful. I think there's multiple scientific studies on what releases the most serotonin, what heals the body the most is when you are in a space of thankfulness.
Gratitude has been one of the biggest things, I think. I can't remember. There is a study out there, especially since you brought up hospice before, especially with people that are dying. The people that are happiest about it have a lot of gratitude.
Sure.
That they're not worried about dying, because they are so grateful for the things that they've had in life.
It changed my entire perspective on life, because I saw hundreds of people who were riddled with regret.
Yeah, and that sucks. And you like, the people, because they're afraid.
And and you can't do anything about it. There's no changing. There's no going back. There's no, I wish I woulda.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to do this, so me and you can grow through it.
Sure.
Right. because like you said, like we were talking about, like we're getting there to where we're kind of becoming that older generation. Like I'll be 50 in like a year and a half.
No, shut up.
All right. So like it's time to not have any regrets.
Sure.
And it's time to make up for things that you haven't done or that you want to do.
Yeah, and live in those moments of also saying, Bo, I think we've also made enough mistakes to be able to say, hey, you don't. So I think we both are out of the phase of let's learn everything the hard way. Can we agree on that?
Trying to. Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
try to, right? And so learn everything the semi-hard way, or at least listen to a few things and like go down a path that's a little easier than the hardest possible way.
Well, we've realized that to continue to do the same thing and expect something different doesn't work.
Yeah, I will say very clearly, I don't like miserable people. I don't like complainers. I don't like this woe is me. It drives me bananas, and I instantly want to dive into these people that I see that are like that, and just say, just stop.
Or like, you know, is it helping you to
Sure.
to talk this way, to
Yeah.
be this way, to continue to do the same thing, like I said, and like, whatever
And
you're doing, do something different tomorrow.
so I think we're going to try to talk through some and be a lot more specific on the next,
Hmm.
right?
Like, and, let me go back just real brief. One of the things that I thought about, like, well, why we need to do this is to make ourselves better. Like that's a goal.
Yeah.
Is to try to help men maybe our age listen to us, whatever if they want to, and maybe they get an idea. Maybe we help them as we dig into some stuff later on. But also, I was thinking, like, I have 3 girls that will hopefully find men one day,
Sure.
and you have 2 boys, and how do we want to influence them?
Sure.
Because I feel like if we become better, me and you, they become better, and like wives, partners, whatever, we make them better, that make our kids better.
Yeah.
And then that's when you've really kind of won. When you can create everybody else around you better.
Beautifully said. I
'Cause
don't. I don't think.
that's a thing that nobody really talks about because like yeah, I think you posted something about like the D-Day things, like toxic masculinity, blah blah blah. Like, no, you need to be masculine in certain ways, and you need
Yep.
to be a leader, and you need to set an example. Do I need my spouse to like help me? Absolutely.
Yep.
She needs to be the one right there to correct me, to encourage me, to help me in everything I do. Because if I don't, then I fail.
It's such a great thought process, Bo. I mean, I think it's a beautiful segue into getting out of here. I think one of the thing is and right. So and you don't have to do or.
Yeah.
And there's somewhere along the way where I said you can be successful in your job and happy at home. You can be fit and a good dad. You can. And I think people say I can't do all these things. There's an or factor, and I just don't buy it.
No,
Right?
you can always find the time.
There's and right, and so we're gonna do a bunch of and. Um, but I think it's going to be all over the place, and I think that's a beautiful thing because that's the way life is, right?
Yeah.
But the laboratory is putting all the elements together. I certainly want to hear. I know that you do. And we're going to have very different audiences, and I think that's also a beautiful thing.
I think it's great. I mean, we're two guys, sure. I think if we get an audience, who knows if we even will. But who cares? We're still talking.
Yeah.
But I want women to listen to this. I want women to give us comments if they want to comment. And I want to go down whole pathways about like women's things that I get involved in at work for sure.
Sure.
I mean, I live with 3 of them.
Yeah. You're
very important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's incredibly, I think there's all these elements because there's a real clinical aspect here that I think we want to make sure we touch on. There's also some questions that I'm going to ask sort of as the passive standard person out here that has a little bit different opinion, right? And so I think there's going to be some things, and I'm going to bring hard questions. I think, and you will want to do that too, which is, hey, I heard this. Somebody had this opinion, and some people aren't going to always post online or respond online. And I want to bring those questions and say, hey, somebody said this to me. This is a really interesting question, right?
Yeah.
I never thought about it this way.
And like I said, I mean, I've done a lot of things since starting with performance medicine and changing eating habits, working out, and supplementations and additions of medications and things like that. And I'm kind of an open book. I don't care what people think about it, what I've done, and we can talk about all those things, and how has it affected me, and what I want to do moving forward, and things I'm still going to try. And people can ask questions about those things. Not a big deal. Open book.
Okay, good. I mean, that's a good thing to say. I don't want people to be intimidated by any of it, and to ask stupid questions, and all the things. And we'll get some old pictures of number 35 at Oak Ridge on this podcast at some point. And I think it would be fun to have some people that we care about and also respect a lot in other.
I mean, it's weird. Like, so many of us have gone so many different directions, but we all still, like, even on our text thread with buddies that we have, I mean, it's hilarious. But
got some really interesting.
We are still just a bunch of idiots from
Yeah.
Oak Ridge, but we have found ways to somewhat be, however you want to perceive it, successful in different ways.
Yeah. And I think continuing to search to try to however we can be 1% happier every day, right?
Yeah.
I can be fitter, I can be wealthier, I can be all the things, but am I happier today?
Yeah, and what are you chasing?
Sure.
That's a big thing. It's like, what are you chasing? Like, if you find out what you're chasing, then you can really find things.
Listen, I appreciate you. What else you got? You got anything else for this one?
I don't got nothing. I don't think. I mean, what's our next episode going to be about? What you want to do?
I think we're going to leave it up for grabs. I think I think it's going to be a fun journey from here to there. I think putting this out just in its raw form, and I'm not going to, I don't think we're going to get too fancy on the front or back end. I think it'll be fun to look back when we go into episode 100. How goofy this one was.
Maybe we might have like stuff behind us and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, who knows? But I think it will be a journey, and I think that's the point, which is getting people to get stronger and faster and fitter and smarter and more educated and more content and happier. And that's the part of the lab, right?
Yeah, and that's the lab. And I think what you said just there, all those adjectives, they all end up with, at the end, the last one, happier.
You got it.
You put them all together, happier's at the end for sure.
Dude, I appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing week. I'll talk to you soon. I love you as always.
All right, man. Love you.
Talk to you soon. See ya.